And we're good to go. Crank that.
Good.
Soldier boy. All right. We say go live. So we might be live. Let me go back to this one over here because it wants to go live. It says go live. So it doesn't matter how live we are. Too live is what we are, as the song went when we were youngsters.
Still looking at Facebook.
All right.
We're not live yet.
All right.
Oh, wait.
All right. We're up and running. All right, everybody. Welcome back. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, August 12th, episode 18, if you can believe it. We're still coming at you because it's all still going on, and this is kind of fun to do. So I am the Aaron portion of the Evan and Aaron Show.
And I am the Evan portion of the Evan and Aaron Show. And, brother, I'm going to tell you, it was good to social distance with you and Simmons yesterday, man. That was a lot of fun.
It was nice to get out, and big shout out to our favorite watering hole because they seem to be doing it right. All the servers got masks on, keeping the tables well spaced apart, and that's really all you can ask right now. And we're just gonna go ahead and shout it out right now. Chelsea took care of business last night. She was awesome.
Okay, well, I was gonna say that
we're gonna tell. Hey, halftime. Get your shots ready. Get your shots ready because we're gonna toast to her. But she was awesome for us last night. It was a wonderful night out. So. Good times.
Yeah, well.
So we did go out last night and we touched on this a little bit, just kind of trying to get some thoughts together. Actually, you know what? Let me back up. I'm a little ahead of myself here. I think it's really important to start off, and I know people are already bitching and moaning and trashing her because that's how politics works. But I think you got to take a moment and say, just recognize what a momentous occasion it is. Kamala Harris has, been selected for Biden's VP. And I just said this straight up. I just said this, had Condoleezza Rice been selected to be a Republican vice president for somebody as well. It's a big moment. It matters. It's important. And I will be glad to not have to point these things out. It will be great whenever it happens that it's normal that, there's a gay black Republican running for Senate. I look forward to that time when everybody can be enlightened to that level. I know I'm asking for a lot. But,
dude, I'm with you on that. I'm like,
it'll be a good world.
Go big.
It will be a good world to see that. But there was a lot of discussion. It was, almost like a lottery, like a contest, little prize going on there to see who was going to be Biden's VP. The discussion was always about it being a woman and most likely a woman of color. So, again, a great accomplishment. Her career speaks for itself. This is one of those things where you look at a person's resume and you say, this person has spent their career pursuing principles and ideals that they believe in. And I think you got to say, here's a woman who can recognize moments in her own career where she would have hoped to have done better. And a lot of times she was fighting an uphill battle. But if you remember some of the debates, she took it straight to Biden. And I think it's a really good sign that here are two people who really aggressively attacked one another in the best way you can in debates, not slinging mud, but very much saying, look, this is your record. This is apparently what you believe. How are you going to govern moving forward when, you're trying to appeal to a certain group of people who say, we need better out of you. And I think it says a lot. So what are your thoughts on Kamala?
Man, I absolutely, I love this pick. I was a big Stacey Abrams fan, and I've had plenty of discussion about this. And the fact is that when you look at the big picture of things, man, Stacey Abrams' time will come. I believe she needs to do a little more work just in the public atmosphere, in the public sphere of things. Kamala Harris, I don't think you could, out of the people that were in the running, I'm not sure you could pick someone who's better qualified. I know I have a lot of people who like Elizabeth Warren. I know a lot of people who were thinking even possibly Amy Klobuchar or Kristen
Tammy Duckworth as well.
Tammy Duckworth and Kristen Gillibrand. I forget her name. Anyway,
Kirsten Gillibrand. Yes, Kirsten
Kirsten
Gillibrand.
Gillibrand. Yes. People were looking at them, but I knew in my heart, Aaron, it had to be a woman. It had to be a woman of color. Just simply because it's time. I mean, it's time.
It's past time. It's well past time.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. It's past time, but you have to it's like catching lightning in a bottle. It's exactly what happened with Obama. It's like everything aligned perfectly and it was like, yes, now is the time that America is ready for a black president. I think now's the time America is ready for a female vice president. I think they're ready for a female president. My feelings about Hillary. I think that woman, she was done wrong, and we could do an entire podcast on the things that this country did to her. But I think that America is ripe for this, and I think that the pick is just extraordinary. And the reason why I went Stacey Abrams so early is because there was some type of things as far as Kamala Harris's record being a DA, possibly affecting the urban African American vote. For those African Americans who remember that, they may have some issue with the way that she doled out some of her cases. But I don't see that that's a big thing. I really don't. In the grand scheme of things, I think people will look at a Biden-Harris ticket and say, hey, look, this is the best that we could get right now. And I think that it's enough to beat Trump Pence. I like this because, number one, it shows that Biden is not scared of having somebody who's critical of him be right there with him. I mean, Trump basically went after somebody that would just be a yes man, and that's exactly what happened. So this was a great pick.
Well, I think it's confounding to the people who their job is to begin picking holes in these things. That's a part of the political process,
right?
But she's not a massively left-leaning person. She does have some progressive ideals. I think the very nature of being a mixed-race candidate is going to bring a certain perspective. But I don't think police reform is a radical notion. Again, Overton window and all that stuff. But it's going to be really hard to portray her as some sort of leftist, super lefty communist kind of person with her law enforcement background, the way she has worked with law enforcement, the way she's worked for responsible reform. Maybe, and the criticism will be that she didn't do enough. I think her response will be, there was only so much I could do at the time, and look at me now. I'm now running for vice president, and if elected, I can make that part of a bigger agenda, and I'll have a lot more influence than I would have been as the lone female district attorney in one of the largest districts in the state of California. So that can't be easy. She's going to be a member of the boys club, punching up, woman of color as well. So I'm not trying to say that that's an excuse. I'm just going to say, look, there are reasons why you can only affect so much change from the inside at any given point in time. And she's made a career out of this. And I think for me personally, I don't have a problem if somebody looks back on their career and says, you know what, that may have been a mistake, not the best choice I made at the time. And here's how I've evolved, and here's what I believe because of that now. And I believe in candidates, silly me, I believe in candidates who can elucidate their point of view without giving a rambling answer that looks even worse on paper than it does to listen to.
We haven't seen that in 3.5 years.
There's a couple things that I find funny here. First off, Kamala Harris is going to wipe the floor with Mike Pence. I mean, he's not terrible. I mean, the man is a decent politician. I will give him that much credit. But he's going
to have a podium between him and Kamala for Karen to be there, right?
I hope the entire moderating staff of the first debate is women. That would just be awesome. You're debating a women, moderated by women. Yeah. But he's going to have to defend some things. He's going to have to defend his record. He's going to have to defend Donald Trump. And as a member of the party, because let's face it, what's Mike Pence done as vice president? What's his big thing? And I know that's not always historically, a thing, but I mean, you can point to things in Biden's career, that he helped out with Obama and helped push through. I'm not sure I
Yep.
see a whole lot of that with Pence. I don't see a
Right.
whole lot of accomplishments to be, waving the banner about anyway, as far as this is concerned. But I mean, Kamala Harris is a DA. This is what she does for a living. She gets up and debates points of view and convinces people that they're correct. Mike
Oh
Pence has
man.
not been faced with this for a while. And
No.
is the Trump campaign really hoping to make this entirely about mental fitness? Because this isn't going to go well.
No.
Don't
And
get me wrong. Joe Biden does have some gaffes, and Joe Biden does have a stutter that he has battled his entire life. And
yes.
I guarantee you, at some point in time, Trump is going to mock him. He's going to mock stutter during a debate, just like he mocked the handicapped reporter.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He has no class. He has no tact. This is a thing that will happen, and they need to be prepared for it.
If he does that, and I want to read some of the comments, but if he does that and the moderators call him on it, it will be the biggest failure of any debate stage of all time. So Roger says, I want to see Abrams as president. Work to do for sure. He also says, for whatever it's worth, her recent record is much better. I do agree with that, Roger, 100%. And I, for one, believe in letting people evolve. I do too. And our good friend Taylor is here. She is watching.
Right
So there
on,
you go.
right on. Well, I thought she'd get a kick about where we're going, and I think along those lines, talking about Kamala, it kind of leads us back into the discussion that I kind of set forth a little bit last week, and you were enjoying a vacation and having a little Wi-Fi connectivity issues, so didn't really go down that road a whole lot. I kind of talked about it for a minute, but we touched on, no candidate is going to be perfect. There are going to be people who are a little turned off, I suppose, by Kamala and some of her law enforcement, history and what that means to them. And I understand that is legit, but
is it? I mean,
I do. I think you're allowed to have those criticisms. Does that criticism make you go so far as to say she's such an unworthy vice presidential choice for Joe Biden that I'm either not going to vote or I'm going to vote for Donald Trump? No, I don't think that is. But that is, people are allowed to have these different criticisms. But that's the segue here is, what do you expect out of your government, locally, mid-level, high level? What does good governance look like to different sets of people? Because right now, if you drew a Venn diagram and asked the question, do you think government is working for you? Are you satisfied with the way government behaves? I think you're going to get a vast majority of both Democrats and Republicans. And so it's not necessarily a Democrat or Republican issue, although I would imagine their responses would be different. And we began a little bit of this discussion last night. We started different government agencies with the intent that they would be responsible for solving an issue or providing a particular type of service. But government has never done things like corporate rebranding or right sizing and things of that nature, saying, you know what, we're just inefficient. And I was having this discussion with my better half earlier, and an example dawned on me. For the longest time, people complained about the BMV. It was a nightmare. It was worse than going to the dentist. You absolutely dreaded it. And it was a horrible experience. No matter what minuscule thing you needed to do, you were going to be there for at least an hour. It was going to ruin your lunch break. And there would be some obscure form that you did not have. And what has happened? They've had technological overhaul. And they've trained people to utilize it appropriately. They've created a scheduling system. Now it runs like clockwork. And even if you don't have the particular obscure form, they hold your place in line because they can hold it in the system. This is no longer watching somebody make 7 copies of something, have somebody else notary it and all that stuff. All this stuff is done. It's automated. And those people were always trying to do a good job. It was just very, very difficult to only have 2 or 3 people authorized to do something. And that's, I'm already answering my own question, but I think this is what we're talking about. Government fails us because government is not designed any longer to do the things we're asking it to do. And I almost don't care what, whether you support the Department of Energy or not, whether you like the Department of Justice, whether you like the FBI, I think all of these things people are going to have particular criticisms of because they no longer reflect how good bureaucracy, if such a thing exists, should exist.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people, we've lost our way in the fact that we become loyal to parties rather than to each other. We tend to err on the side of representing our best interests, and I'm not saying us as individuals, but I'm just speaking as if I was one of the representatives that we send to Washington. They represent their own best interests, and the problem is that instead of seeing this as a position that is a position of honor, that's a position of reflection, like Taylor says here. Shouldn't we want someone who has that experience, who can answer those tough questions, good governance, reflecting their constituencies, but balancing majority and minority wants and needs? This is not one of those jobs that you just go to and you write meaningless legislation, or you let something like Alec write legislation for you.
Right.
You are elected by your constituency, all of your constituency, and so it's your responsibility. And this is what makes this position very, very hard. This position is very much of a balancing act. Our legislative branch was made to represent the people, and all the people, even the people that don't like you. You still have an obligation to represent, which means that in doing the things that you need to do, you need to also do the things that, the majority of people who put you in, you need to look at that, but then you also need to look at what's going to affect the minority of people who didn't want you there. You've got to have thick skin for this. And the fact is that there are so many of our representatives now who are just simply towing party lines. They're forgetting about us.
Yeah.
They're forgetting about us. And that's why you have all of this angst towards our government. Our government is doing and has always done. We've had this discussion before, Aaron, and I think that this is very true. Our government is doing exactly what it was made to do. And unfortunately, in my opinion, it was founded on a couple of principles. Number one, it was founded on, and we know this, the advancement of white landowning men. It was founded upon the fact that, minorities were 3/5 of the human. Women didn't have a voice. And basically, if you were rich, you could pretty much write whatever you want into this thing. And that's where we're starting to see the cracks in our democracy. Is now America and the whole landscape has changed, and now we want to see something different. But isn't that the definition of insanity? Is that you expect something different by doing the same thing over and over again. It doesn't happen unless we change something.
To be fair, we did do something that seemed drastically different at the time, to elect a person like Trump. And I don't think anybody could truly foresee how much he would embody the failure of such a variety of tropes about our country. First off, you talked about, you still have an obligation to lead the, 50 or 45 or 40% of people who didn't vote for you. Well, right off the bat, this guy has said, fuck those people. I don't care about them. They didn't vote for me. I can't say a nice word about John Lewis because he didn't come to my inauguration. That's the mindset that we have right now. So he's failing to honor that concept on the most basic level. But then you look at a couple other things. You have this belief, this growing belief amongst the hardcore capitalists that let's run the country like a company. And I think we've paid to that notion between the Bushes and now Trump. And what's funny is apparently the Bushes were better at business than Trump. Because we're really finding out you can't negotiate with China the same way you negotiate with I don't know, Nabisco about a hostile corporate takeover, right?
Right.
You can't
Right.
do that. There are different types of lives and different types of things at stake. But more importantly, it's also showing us that he actually wasn't that good of a businessman in the first place. So what real experience did he have? Back to Taylor's point, shouldn't we want these people to have this experience? Well, he was chosen specifically because he apparently was bringing something totally new and different to the table, except it was the same old thing, which is grifting. He's basically a snake oil salesman.
Yeah, that's it.
On national
And
TV.
all these people have bought it, man. I think that's the most disturbing thing about all of this is that now we get to see truly the fabric, part of the tapestry of America. Is that we see now that people are led astray so easy by this Wizard of Oz who is behind this curtain and saying, hey, look, we can make America great again. But when you pull the curtain back, you see nothing but a con man. And the fact is that I'm going to say this, and once again, we may lose all 5 of our watchers.
I doubt it.
America wasn't that great to begin with because it didn't include everybody. The words are there, but the sentiment was never there until we get to the point where the words match the sentiment. When we get to the point where Black people, brown people, white people work together to make this place great, to make America great, finally, when we get to the one place to where our LGBTQ community can actually live in peace and harmony and enjoy the exact same freedoms we do. When women get paid the exact same, and what I mean by that is, you know what? When they actually don't have to fear losing their jobs if they get pregnant or something like that. When women enjoy those same things that men and everybody does in America, that's when we're great. I can't remember a time when that happened. That's freedom.
Yeah.
If we look at that definition, that's exactly what that is, man.
So, but I agree with you. But let's play hypothetically here. And I just saw Taylor's comment about overcorrection, and I think these two things go hand in hand. So we're talking about let's hypothesize Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win in a landslide, record turnouts, people brave all the bullshit to go out and vote. And it's a clear mandate that the people choose Joe Biden. Okay. There are going to be an awful lot of people who don't think he's legitimate. There are going to be an awful lot of people who are just pissed about it in general. There are going to be an awful lot of people who are threatening insurrection.
Yeah.
You've got an outgoing president who has clearly broken laws, is breaking laws. His administration, people associated with him. How do you govern moving forward? And to Taylor's point with an overcorrection, I think Trump is a massive overcorrection for perceived pendulum swinging under Obama. I don't agree with it, but people voted for Donald Trump as the antithesis of Barack Obama. And holy shit, are they right? But that was their impetus. That was their motivation for doing so. And they don't care to govern the rest of us. But I actually believe in representative democracy, and I believe that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have an obligation. But what does that look like? And do they have an obligation to pursue Donald Trump for his crimes against the United States and against the Constitution? Because that would make an awful lot of people happy, but it's sort of unprecedented. And here's how unprecedented it is. Donald Trump ran on the platform that he was going to throw Hillary in jail, that he was going to prosecute her, and she was obviously guilty of tons of things, and he was going to prosecute her. Never mind the fact that none of this really truly holds up in the court of law. So did someone convince him of that? Or is this such a binding type of thing that you do not go after the last administration because you got to govern? It's more important to be perceived as governing than to be getting retribution. So how do you balance that?
Yeah. Well, I think that is a good question to address on the other side of halftime, my friend.
I'm down.
And I've got a nice little memento from my trip. Wolf Creek Pass.
Nice.
Yeah. It's real nice. Out in Colorado. I was out there, and it was a lot of fun. And man, kick back and just relax, man. It was cool.
The pictures that you showed me while we were kind of FaceTiming or house partying, while you're out there the day before, really, really beautiful night. I think you had a nice like little brook or stream behind the house or something.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
That's how really you recharge. Cool. So everybody, if you can get away, I know we're trying to plan a little something to just be a little off on our own, just be somewhere different for a little bit. Probably still work since we can work remotely, but just the idea.
That's what I was doing.
Getting away. That's what I was doing. Would be great. So anyway, you know, it's weird. We did go out last night, and it is odd to still go out in public, but there are ways to do it safely and appropriately. So again, big shout out to the crew up there at Chatham Tap Fishers. They took care of us. Chelsea's always a great waitress. The entire cast and crew there, Jay behind the bar, putting the sports on for us. That was helpful. And a big shout out to Portland for winning MLS back cup. And just not going to talk about the Reds game right now. So cheers. I'm a garbage human, Evan. Come
on. Sláinte. Oh, nice.
Okay. So
you want to look at these comments real quick?
Yeah. Let's get a little crowd involvement. So
do you want to read them or you want me to?
Let's see. I think we've covered a couple things. Yeah, definitely this started with Newt and the Party Five. Roger, absolutely right. The whole CPAC stuff began in like '94 when they regained Congress. They've basically been on a mission of obstruction, and that culminated in Mitch McConnell saying it out loud, about Obama. And to a certain extent, you have. It's one thing to be like, yes, our intention is to make this person a one-term president because that's your job, but it seemed a lot more vindictive than I'd heard previously. And man, when you read about the stuff Newt was doing, and not just the part where he served his cancerous wife divorce papers while she was in the hospital recovering from chemotherapy. I mean, I would hate to mention some dirty shit like that. I mean, him undermining American politics. So it does go back that far. A peaceful transfer of power. Taylor, I hope so. It will be interesting to see what happens because I have a feeling he's going to fight this tooth and nail no matter what it is. And it's going to be worse. If it's close at all, it's going to be disputed. This is going to be worse than 2000. We're going to have hanging chads and all sorts of shit. It's just going to be ridiculous. Never mind all the stuff with him slowing down the mail and making it more difficult to vote. I mean, To me, it's a pretty simple question. If you're a political party that doesn't want people to vote, clearly your message does not resonate with the people and you shouldn't be leading them. And it's basically as simple as that. If you don't want people to vote, if you believe the more people that vote aren't going to vote for you and that's why you don't want them to vote, then I'm sorry, you're in the wrong game. Go grift elsewhere. Roger, the question becomes just how broken are American politics? We're seeing government doing things that, frankly, we assumed were already illegal, but they're not. Presidency in particular is not designed well enough to protect against the level of Seymour, the level of corruption we're seeing. And I think what we're seeing right now is that how all of these things are held together is by a bit of a gentleman's agreement that everybody said, this is how it's going to be. And by and large, people have accepted those rules to a lesser or greater extent during different time periods, but no one has ever flaunted them quite like this. And no. I mean, this makes Nixon and Watergate look pretty petty. I mean, it does make it look like a basic break-in. Like that Donald Trump is do you ever watch South Park?
Oh my, come on.
Do you ever see the episode where George Lucas and Steven Spielberg are literally raping their Star Wars and Indiana Jones characters by continuing the franchise and constantly So
oh my.
Donald Trump is literally raping the Constitution of the United States right now. I mean, absolutely no regard for what it means. He has no regard for the institutions of it. Here's the thing. I almost don't blame him because I don't think he knows about the institutions of American governance. I don't think he understands them. And he certainly doesn't believe in gentlemen's agreements. He certainly doesn't believe in doing the right thing without having to be told to. And this is evident on its face. I'm not even sure how someone would argue with me about that.
Who's going to tell him? And he's not going to listen.
Well, historically, we've had a backbone of senators, and credit where due. We've had there were Republicans with spines during the whole Nixon thing. There were people who stood up in the chamber and said, no, this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong.
Sure.
And this is where I hate to do it, but I start creeping. I start indulging into a little bit of, I don't know how much conspiracy theory is, but I'm like, damn, I had a lot of respect for Lindsey Graham. And this guy said Donald Trump's a terrible, terrible human being, and he has no business being in charge of this party, and he doesn't represent conservative values. And I believed in good old Lindsey, and I believed in a few of these people. And even as much as I don't believe in a Ted Cruz, even he's like, yeah, this guy's terrible, not pulling any punches. He's, just this is wrong for the Republican Party. And now they're all kowtowing. So we know that the Russians hacked both the Republicans and the Democrats and only released the Democrats' emails. Mm-hmm. And from there, you get Pizzagate and all that garbage. Basically, it tells you how nerdy the high-level echelon of the Democrats are, which you kind of want. I want the nerds on my side. I want the MIT people and the Harvard people. I want that. So
I want the geek squad taking care of Central Intelligence. That's what I want. Right. I want that to happen.
But what do they have on Republicans? What does Putin have on Trump, and what does Trump now have on the rest of the Republicans that he can be like, hey, Lindsey, I know you think I'm terrible and I'm just the worst thing that's ever happened to the Republican Party, but I know about what your rent boys or what have you. Like what is going on? I have to think that, and I hate doing that because it blows me away that, I mean, let's face it, who's the last standing Republican right now? Mitt fucking Romney.
Yeah.
And even he, if the wind is blowing pretty hard, he seems to bend a certain direction, but he's at least been known to stand up. So what the hell is going on here? I really legit asked that question. Taylor, how far off am I with this? Am I reading too many? I hate Reddit, but have I read too many Reddits? Like
you are not.
There's got to be something going on here, because there can't be this many people who are like, Donald Trump is the worst thing that's ever happened ever, and the second he gets elected, they're just like, go.
Right, exactly. Like, and, it's almost like what you remember when you were a kid on playground, and the big bully was the guy you wanted to get behind, right? And so you got behind the bully so he wouldn't beat you up and blah blah blah. But then here comes along this Aaron Gordon cocky kid, and actually kicks the bully in the nuts, and you're like, oh, okay, so the bully isn't all the bullies cut out to be, and the bully has flaws, and the bully has makes mistakes and stuff like that. And now Republicans, we all see it. Some of them are hedging their bets. Some of them are like, yeah, this is this and blah blah blah. And it's like Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham. We seen you guys. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and please let me finish. I respect people like Jim Jordan more than I do Lindsey Graham, because
they're exactly who they are.
For as idiotic as he is, exactly who he is. And Lindsey Graham had a chance. Man. He had a chance, just like Jeff Flake had a chance, and he flaked out on us. Jeff Flake had a chance.
Well done.
Lindsey Graham had a chance. They all could have just said, look, this is not what the Republican Party is all about. The Republican Party is about, blah, 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 blah. He is not about it. They didn't do that. And so now the Republican Party's screwed, because now, oh, go ahead.
Well, the one thing I go back to is, early on, it was, anybody who doesn't stand with Donald Trump, he gives him a nickname and he starts mocking him and all that shit. And I'm like, kind of going back to what you're talking about, I'm like, I had bullies giving me bad nicknames as a kid. And you know what I did? I made fun of them back, or I just like.
That's because we're smart human beings. We're not sheep.
But it has to go beyond that then. There has to be a little bit more. Like there can't be what, oh shit. Again, Taylor, correct me, 550 people in Congress. God help me.
Bro, this is
100, I don't
unprecedented.
know.
Hold
I
on
don't
just
know.
a minute. I'm getting a call from my daughter. Okay, so hang on just a second.
All right.
Keep.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is that there has to be at least a handful of people who don't believe that their career is tied to Donald Trump in the Republican Party, that they're willing to say whatever the hell they want to say, and they don't care if they get reelected. Like, this guy's wrong for the party. And he's absolutely, this isn't conservatism. This isn't conservatism in any way that I've ever known. So what, I don't, it's funny that this is what it always comes back to, because it still feels like a fever dream that the most unqualified person in the history of running for president and getting a nomination, because I'm sure some randos have run for president, but to get the nomination and be so ridiculously well, all right, fair, Taylor, but still, to be this ridiculously unqualified for the job and to be monumentally fucking it up as bad as he is,
Yeah.
and that we're still having this conversation. I don't even know how to talk to certain types of people anymore, because their argument just lacks such merit. I mean, we can argue conservative principles and things like that, but none of that's even happening anymore.
No.
This isn't conservative economics that we're seeing. This is slash and burn. It's basically, did Obama do it and can I undo it?
Mm-hmm.
And like, when your groundwater is so contaminated from the local steel mill that your kids can't go to school and drink the water, like, aren't you going to miss some of these things? Do me wrong. We can argue overreach and agencies trying to justify their budgets. That's a conversation I'm happy to have. But the thing that fundamentally gets me is, you've got Republicans who say, I want to reduce government to the size of something I can drown in the bathtub. You've got Rick Perry can't even remember the name of the agency he wants to get rid of, and then he got named the head of that agency, and they still don't know how to dissolve it.
Yeah.
But they want to, their method of proving government doesn't work is getting into office and then just not working. Good Lord, I wish I could get that job. When talk about people freeloading on the government dime. They think government jobs are easy. Well, yeah, when your entire goal is to get elected and do fuck all so you can demonstrate that it doesn't do anything. I mean, that's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you ask me. I don't know.
You know,
silly me, I believe that you should represent people.
Yep. Roger says,
Damn right,
look,
Taylor.
I spent time in the theater of combat with Colonel North. Iran-Contra was a conspiracy theory until it turned out to be true. There you go. Taylor, well, it's the reason that most unwarranted promotions are mediocre men with charisma.
You are absolutely right.
Christina Jackson's watching. That's my cousin. What's up, Chris? How you doing? If you're a modern Republican, you don't want small government. You just want your big dollars to go different places. That's it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take it a step further, Taylor. Not only if you're a modern Republican, if you're a modern Republican representative, especially Republican representatives. And then Roger says, Leah Chase spoke to this. When Tip O'Neill came to see her, she said he remarked, people used to talk, but they're not talking anymore. And I think this is what is at the core, man, of what I'm trying to do this year at school. I'm trying to make sure that these young people understand what civil discourse is, because we have lost it as a country, man. We've lost it. I mean, we don't know how to civilly share our views and not go down a path of basically going la 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 la. I mean, you know what I mean?
Can I throw a curveball?
Please do. Please.
Do you think this is because so much of American social culture now occurs online rather than in person? And the difference between having to look somebody in the eye and truly say some shit that you would otherwise, your keyboard courage has you saying. You wouldn't say some of these things to people's faces, and therefore you don't understand how to have this civil disagreement. Because behind a computer, you can be like, oh, fuck this motherfucker, N-word and C-word and all this bullshit. Like, I can say this because they can't punch me in the face across the table, right?
True. I think that's like 99% of it. I think the other 1%, quite frankly, is probably, I think it's probably after the Johnson administration that we started playing political games. We started plotting. Now, don't get me wrong, from the very beginning, there have been political games played, but we've always had a chance to legislate. I mean, you look at Johnson and what he did. 64, okay? You look at, the Civil Rights Bill. You look at that, and then the Voting Act, and then all that stuff that happened there. But once you get past that, once you get into, the Nixon years and on, once Nixon learned that Southern strategy, he started playing that. And that's when you started to get, instead of the legislative branch legislating, you started getting people wanting to sit in their positions forever. That's where you got the Strom Thurmonds. That's where you got the, right now, the Mitch McDonald, whatever the fucker's name is.
Mitch McDonald is kind of funny, though.
I know it is kind of funny, and
I think I refer to him as Yertle the Turtle.
But anyway, Mitch McConnell. You look at these guys who have sat there all this time, and literally, it's so funny they want to jump on Joe Biden and say, "Oh, he's done nothing." Really? How about you? What have you done in the state of Kentucky to bring it from the gutter of education in America? What have you done to help out with any of those school systems there, Mitch McConnell? You've done nothing. Nothing. You sat there and did nothing.
GOP donors. That's what he's done.
There you go. That's it.
It also begs the question, how are you a lifelong senator?
Go ahead. Yeah,
and
right.
You've got millions of dollars in the bank.
Taylor, oh my God. Okay, here it is. She says, it's 70% of. The other 30 is how we're educating people. If we had properly informed citizens, we wouldn't be in this situation. I agree. She says, but we as a society are afraid, here it is, afraid of productive conflict. The result is cancel culture, and we don't give people grace to grow. Right.
All right. I'm going to go back. All right. 70%.
I'm giving all kinds of love right now.
Properly informed citizens, we wouldn't be in this situation. I agree. There's always going to be an undereducated segment of society, and they still have a right to vote. So it is on the rest of us to figure out how to get through. And unfortunately, we're fighting that social media battle, because I can talk till I'm blue in the face and make logical conclusions, but I'm nowhere near as interesting and exciting as Pizzagate. So you lose that to a certain extent. But I got to push back on this whole notion of cancel culture.
Okay, come on.
Well, in my lifetime, do you know where cancel culture began? This is my first experience with what you'd call quote unquote cancel culture.
Please enlighten us, my friend.
The Christian church tried to prevent Last Temptation of Christ being shown in theaters before they'd ever seen it. They just heard that, oh no, he talks about maybe he was friendly with Mary Magdalene. He was actually nice to also, by the way, that's the story, folks, that Jesus hung out with poor people and prostitutes and the sullied because he believed that's who you need to get the message through to. And they needed his guidance.
Look what happens to that statement when I put air quotes on it. Jesus hung out
with
prostitutes. So, you know what I mean?
When I hear cancel culture, I hear that. I hear an uninformed response. So maybe to Taylor's point, that's what it is this disagrees with a previously held notion that I already have. I have cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias, so I can't deal with this. But I keep hearing about cancel culture in the context of political correctness and all this stuff. And the fact is, it's not cancel culture. It's an evolution of culture. And it's a whole bunch of people standing up and saying what used to be acceptable in this realm, we no longer think is acceptable. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to defend all of that, but I don't think there's a problem with saying there's a better way of having this discussion. There's a better way of referring to Black people or Native American people or gay people or what have you. And I've made this analogy before, but if your name is Richard and you're cool with being called Richard or Rick, but you really don't want people calling you Dick, and you get introduced to people and you're like, my name is Richard, please refer to me as Richard, and your friends jokingly refer to you as Dick, they're dicks.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you say, as an entire culture, as an entire subculture of humanity, and you say, hey, be pretty cool if you could stop referring to us as boy or the N-word, or, I mean, look, the NAACP still has the word colored in it, but most Black people don't want to be referred to as colored. But I bet you'd know the difference between whether or not an old white dude from the South said, oh, you know, how are you and your colored friends? He doesn't really mean it like that. That's the term he learned, versus if somebody my age or younger said, look at this colored boy over here.
Yeah.
You'd have an issue with that. So
we'd be fighting.
And I have gone down a very particular silo of cancel culture. So Taylor, comment again if you want to, because I think this is a big discussion to be had, because I think there's two types of it. You keep hearing it amongst comedians, and basically comedians are just mad that they can't make the same sexist, misogynist, racist jokes that were funny in 1975.
Yep.
Right? People are like, oh, you couldn't make Blazing Saddles again today. Sure you could. You just make it with slightly different versions of the same jokes.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't say them in the same way, but you can still point out the differences between people. There's a shit ton of humor to be mined between white people and Black people in America. It's funny.
It requires us to be more intelligent. It requires us to actually think through what we're saying.
And
that's all.
That's to Taylor's point. If we had a more educated citizenry, we wouldn't have these issues. You'd be able to have a legitimate conversation with a conservative, and they would understand the distinction between peaceful protesters and people who showed up specifically to riot and loot because they want anarchy.
Yeah. Yep.
And you'd be able to have a conversation about the distinction of peaceful protesters protesting police brutality and a whole bunch of people mad about having to wear a mask while going to Target carrying AR-15s to the mayor's office. This should not be really, really difficult to have these types of discourse. So maybe that's what we're getting at. But I find myself having too many conversations about constitutionality and epidemiology with people who failed government class in junior year and got a D- in biology and chemistry. So spare me your fucking YouTube videos.
Exactly. Right, Roger says Blazing Saddles was racial as opposed to racist.
Yes. And that's a distinction that the vast majority of the public probably can't even remotely wrap their head around, Roger.
Yes. So on that note, I think it's time. My friend.
All righty. We've done a good job here, and I'm glad that glad you're back. It was lonely last week. Really difficult to carry a conversation about the Pacers and the Reds by myself for very long. It felt like being at the bar, and I was like, "Shit, I got nobody to talk to. I'm just gonna have to play. I'm gonna play music on the jukebox and let everybody."
Right. I'm glad you mentioned sports, because tonight for our Hey Aaron segment, and everybody listen, please get involved in this, because I'm gonna let it go. But tonight I'm gonna read a quote, and you're gonna have to guess who that quote is from.
Oh, all right. And they're all sports related?
All sports related. Like either the quotes are sports related or the quotes come from somebody who is a sports ball person. There you go. I guess that's what you would call them. An athlete. There you go. There you go. Athlete. There you go.
If you can't be
All
an
right,
athlete, be an athletic supporter.
And here
we
go. All right. Never say never, because limits like fears are often just illusions. If you don't know, I'll give you one more quote from this person.
Do I get to ask questions to narrow things down, or am I just flying blind and you'll give me this one more quote?
I'll give you 3 clarifying questions, and one of them you can use the second quote.
Okay. I tell you what, I'll ask a question before you give me the second quote.
Okay.
What sport does this person belong to? Because it seems like football.
That would be basketball.
Basketball. All right, go ahead and give me the other quote. Because this is going to give it away.
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career.
Michael Jordan.
There you go. Yes. I've lost almost 300 games, 26 times. I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan. By the way, guys,
one of the greatest Gatorade commercials ever.
Oh,
yes.
If you have not watched The Last Dance, oh God, I'm on episode 7, Aaron, and I'm
dude,
I love it. Love it.
It's amazing. As a side note, one of my favorite parts of it is their needle drops are amazing, man. They are spinning some serious 90s heavy music in there, and they're like, every time it drops, you're like, yep, that catches the vibe. When they hit New York City and that was that the Beastie Boys dropped, I was like,
yes, man.
Yes. Also along those lines, though, because that came from a Jordan Gatorade commercial. But everybody, if you haven't watched it yet, the newest Nike commercial, you like, we can't be defeated, or I don't know, like, we're like something like that. You can't defeat us. But it's the most amazing spliced like imagery, like overlapping each other. It's a absolute feat of video editing. So definitely check it out. Nike gives you the feels. So, all right, number 2.
Amazing. All right, so you have 2 possible quotes here, okay, for this person. First quote: "It's just a job. Grass grows, birds fly, waves pound the sand. I beat people up."
Mike Tyson.
Good guess, but no.
Ooh, all right. Is it boxing? Is boxing the correct sport?
That's question number 2. Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you have another quote?
Yep.
Right.
I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion.
Ali.
Good guess, dude. The greatest.
He is greatest.
Muhammad Ali, my friend. Muhammad Ali. Actually, you ever been to the museum in Louisville?
I've walked right past it. I've actually stayed at a super cool, badass hotel right next door that's kind of themed about him. But no, wait. No, I haven't. But I actually think the hotel is adjoining it, so I think I've seen the entrance to it. But yeah, it's down in the Ville, and I would love to check it out. Oh man, I got to put that on the list.
Okay. I think this next one, let me find it. I think I only have one.
That's fine. I'll do my best. I've been asking too many favors thus far.
Okay, so here we go. Wait a minute. Oh, I may have found. No, I found 2. Okay, so here we go. We should make the most of life. Enjoy it, because that's the way it is. That's a tough one. This is a tough one. We should make the most of life. Enjoy it, because that's the way it is.
All right, I'm going to go back to my first question. What sport is it?
It would be football, soccer.
Oh. Pele?
No. Do you like the second quote?
Sure.
Okay. I have my flaws too, but I'm a professional who doesn't like to miss or lose. I have my flaws too, but I'm a professional who doesn't like to miss or lose.
Alex Ferguson.
No. Do me a favor. Roll your R. Cristiano.
Really? Cristiano.
Ronaldo. Yes. Ronaldo, my
Alrighty.
friend. That's who
Alrighty.
that would be. All right. Moving on. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. And I only have one quote from this guy.
All right, sport.
Not really a sport, but he is possibly one of the greatest athletes of all time. Athletic.
Jim Thorpe?
No. So I'll give that. That's just one question because I couldn't give you sport.
He played multiple sports or?
No. He was an actor and it's going to give away karate.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Yes.
Be water, my friend. Be water.
You know,
do you know that quote? It's an amazing
quote.
Yes. Yeah, look that up. It's phenomenal. Be water, my friend. It's about adapting. Be
water.
It's about adapting your life.
Okay.
I'll give you a second. Go ahead.
Okay. Be water. Google, you know what? No. I'll look at it later. All right. Here we go. Last one I've got.
All right.
Let me go back to it. Sorry. The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime. Kung Fu is a sport. Yes, Roger. Yes. You guys you're doing well. They're doing well.
I was going to say, you could have just said martial arts. So back to your quote. Gosh, does it have a sport? I recognize this quote, but
yes, the sport is baseball.
Okay, repeat the quote again one more time.
The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime.
Can I ask one more question?
Please.
Is this person part of a team you and I are a fan of?
No.
Oh.
Well, no, we're not. But I've got one more quote from him.
Oh, all right.
I swing with everything I've got. I hit big or I miss big. I like to live as big as I can.
Babe Ruth?
Yes. Bill Parcells. Troy, Bill Parcells. I like that guess, though. That's cool. But no, it is Babe Ruth. I swing with everything I got. I hit big or I miss big.
That makes sense. Here, I pulled it up for you. So the Bruce Lee quote, and you should go YouTube this afterward because the conviction he says this with, the way he responds is amazing. But he says, You must be shapeless, formless, like water. When you pour water in a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. When you pour water in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can drip and it can crash. Become like water, my friend.
Wow. That
we go deep.
Dude.
We go deep here on the Evan and Aaron show.
All right. Actually, I have can I do two more?
Two more. I do. We'll go all night long, but yeah, two more.
Okay, here we go. Here we go, guys. Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded, Yogi Bear. That's good. That's good, Roger. That's awesome. Okay, here we go. Somewhere behind the athlete, you've become in practice and the hours of practice and the coaches who have pushed you is a little girl who fell in love with the game and never looked back. Play for her. Let me try and read that again. somewhere behind the athlete you've become and the hours of practice and the coaches who have pushed you is a little girl who fell in love with the game and never looked back. Play for her.
Megan Rapinoe.
Oh, you are so close. Right sport.
Mia Hamm.
Ding, 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 ding. Gen Xer. I had to go with Mia Hamm. Had to.
I understand. But Pino is my spirit animal, so I always go to her anyway.
I get it. No, she's badass too. All of them are.
I love that there's a like a movement to have her take over the Ellen DeGeneres show. Like, because apparently you can just substitute one bouncy, dancy, blonde-haired lesbian for another in America, and it's not a big deal.
It's like, come on, people. All right, last one. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw – this is a curveball. I'm going to say she was an athlete. There is no limit to what we as women can accomplish. I know that doesn't give you very much, but, it is what it is.
So you said, I'm going to say she was an athlete.
Oh, yes, she was.
Oh, okay. All right. So she was a legit athlete, but is no longer.
Yeah, she probably still.
Billie Jean King.
Does it? No, that's a good guess. No.
Wrong sport.
I have another quote. Say again.
Wrong sport.
You know what? Honestly, I do not know the sport that she played. But I do know she was an athlete.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Next quote.
Yeah.
No country can ever flourish if it stifles the potential of its women and deprives itself of the contributions of half its citizens. Roger. Don't look at Roger's. No, you can't look. Don't look.
I'm not. I'm on Zoom, so I can't see anything, so I won't look. Is Roger correct?
Roger is correct.
All right, so no longer playing. You have no idea what sport she played. Is this because you don't know?
I don't. I just don't know.
Althea
I know
Gibbs.
For a fact she played. I know for a fact she played.
Althea Gibbs.
Oh, that's a great guess, dude. That's a great guess. No, it is.
Babe Didrikson.
No. Wow, you are pulling. Guys, my man is very educated on women's sports, brother. That's cool. Got another guess?
I'm going to ask one more question.
Mm-hmm.
To the closest decade, when was she at the peak of her athleticism?
Oh, jeez. I wasn't prepared for this. I would say 1980s. Wouldn't you guys? 1980s.
Okay, let me get this straight. Just so I understand.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one.
Woman played sports while you were alive. And you don't know which sport she played.
I'm going to tell you why, though. I'm going to tell you why. You want to know why? Here you go. I'm going to tell you why. Because
December 31st, that is my date of birth. I went to the Harry and I got. Wait, where are you going?
This lady right here.
I was going to say Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
See, you were tap dancing around it, but because you didn't know, I was like, all right. That, you know what? Dig her. She's awesome. She's amazing. She's beautiful. And
what sport
want to talk some
bullshit?
Play?
Or what sports is she? She may be a multi-sport athlete. I don't know. I thought she played. I swear I thought she played or ran track or something, man. She played volleyball? I don't know. I can't remember. I cannot remember.
I don't know.
But you don't get arms like that. You don't get arms like that. And not,
she's got a workout program, and obviously she's not eating school lunches. So
not now. I tell you, not now.
Not anymore. I mean,
right.
Ketchup is a vegetable.
So there you go. There is that was probably the hardest.
That one was tough. I'll give you that.
That was tough.
I'll give you that. So I like these though, and now you can share screen so we can have more interactive stuff.
I will have my PowerPoints ready, my friend.
I dig it. I appreciate that. I appreciate a good PowerPoint. I like a good presentation.
There you go. Hey, before Aaron wraps up, guys, what I want to say is this. Join us on House Party afterwards. Aaron, I think you're going to be on there for a little bit. I'll be on there for a little bit. Guys, seriously, come on there and tell us some topics that you want us to talk about. I mean, we've been doing some really good stuff, and I want to keep that going. So give us some topics that we can research. We will get on there and listen to you, but come have a drink with us, and we'll see you later. Aaron, my friend.
No, glad to have you all back. Love the interaction. If you're watching this later on YouTube, hit subscribe, watch the other videos, like us, do all the stuff that they tell you to do. If you're watching on Facebook Live, same sort of thing. Hit the like button, maybe even the care button. Like you want to give us a hug because we don't get hugs anymore. You know, with all this COVID stuff. It's kind of nice.
We couldn't even hug each other really last night, man. That's sad.
It was weird. It was kind of like the kind of elbow thing. So if you like the video, share it. Tell other people about it because this gets better the more people that can get involved. Love having you guys give us some comments throughout the show, some funny quips, all that stuff. And we're bouncing ideas just like in a bar. If you're having a conversation, somebody chimes in and says something, you're like, oh shit, that just blew my mind. Now we got to have that conversation. I love it. All you guys are great.
Hey, real quick, Aaron.
Yep.
We had a question about what House Party is. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but
download the app. It's on iPhone. It's on Android. It's basically open source Zoom. It is what it is. It's House Party. Like you log in and all your contacts are there. So if you've got friends, you can be like, hey, it's basically like FaceTime for a group. It's good fun. Hop on. Probably see some old friends, especially Tay Tay. If you get on there, I would imagine the old crew, the old tap crew will be on.
Can we call her Tay Tay? Is that okay, or is that trademarked? Are we allowed to?
I don't believe in rules. So
okay. Cool. Well, if you don't believe in rules, I don't either. So I'm gonna play an outro song.
I'm Gordo. I do what I want. So
yes,
hit that outro. Everybody raise a glass. Love you. Take care. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Do the elbow bump. Stay 6 feet away. Punch a Nazi. Take care. Love you all.
Punch a Nazi, guys. Love you all. And Black Lives still matter, by the way.
Black Lives always mattered.
Breonna Taylor, we need justice for her. Let's go.
Love it. Take care, y'all.
See it.